every time, so I had to jump in here and just try to battle back a little
Get back around all the time, man. It just speaks volumes of your character. Now, come
on. Coach said that Jordan didn't play a ton, but looked real efficient when he was. I want to ask you a big picture question about him, just from something watching at practice. It almost seems like when he does take off and run now, it's almost like, oh yeah, he's got that too. Like how far has he come in terms of that's not even really the first way you guys look at him to hurt people?
Nah, Jordan's a quarterback. He's especially talented to have the athletic ability that he has. But his mind is what makes him unique and differently because how he sees the game and his decision-making skills. He knows, he's an athlete, so things break down and not what it's supposed to be or the time is off. He can make a play, but, he's playing quarterback. He's been so locked in. But what I would like to love about Joe is his preparation, because, you have to limit him some, but, his preparation remains the same. And that's why he, being able to perform like he performs.
That's going to be furthest enough from those 247.
Following up on that, since I was the second one to ask a question, with Jordan, Coach Norvell said today that he just keeps getting better, and that's such a big thing when your best player, one of your better players, gets better. I mean, for you to see that growth from him, I guess, how exciting has it been that he's taken this as seriously, I guess, as you guys probably would have expected him to this opportunity in 2023?
Yeah, he's taking ownership in his own growth. As coaches, we want to push him forward, but I believe he has an expectation for himself. It's so high that he's trying to reach that expectation, which is keeping him focused and keeping him locked in. You watching his decision-making, his control of the offense, his ownership. And of course, he still has things he wants to work on. And, you would tell him these things, he'd tell you the opposite. So he's just taking that ownership into his own hands and really taking responsibility for the offense. And he knows it. He's operating at a high level. I just want to go back and say again, his preparation. Because a lot of times you get worried when you limit a guy. Is he locked in? Is he still want to take the reps as he's taking them? And he does that at a high level, which is when he does get the reps, he's performing at a high level.
Next week, Sim Casson from the Tallahassee Democrat.
Yeah, Coach, how you doing today? Coach Norvell mentioned that Jordan had a good day. The three backup quarterbacks kind of had up and down days. What did you see from them today?
Yeah, we threw them in some tough situations. The install got bigger too, so they got to be decision making. Also, some different situations. So we threw them in some real situations, and you saw some good and you saw some bad. You saw with it being a fourth down situation, whether it be third long, third short, just decision making and things like that, and having to scramble with those things. And also, you're in there with some younger alignments, some young receivers. So sometimes things break down, and where do you go and what's your response? So I think if we continue to put them in those challenging situations, we'll see the continued growth. But as the situations increase, we got to do a better job of handling those different situations that we're throwing them in. There's a different situation each time.
Go back to Brendan.
Just being there, we've seen Ken Trumport here at practice be consistent in how he's performed. But Coach Atkins, Coach JP were asked about him today and just the growth they've seen from their vantage point. For you, I guess, what's been his biggest area of growth this spring, this offseason?
I fully would say Tron a problem. Yeah, Tron has been here since the beginning, and he's earned his way. He's kind of like the unnamed soldier that we have because he is the true development. We talk about development. We talk about Jordan and things like that. Tron is that on the outside of the receiver. Talk about the guys we brought in. And Tron has been here. Now he's developed himself into being a real weapon. And it's exciting to see him and Darian. So, you have those guys you bring in, but you also got those kind of homegrown guys that put the time in the weight room and really developing themselves and developing their skill set. Tron is the example of that. And now you're starting to hear his name more from the Gallup reports. And he's worked his way into that. So that's that true development we talk about that, go through those young players that have been, sitting here since the beginning.
Next will be Aslan Hazavedi from Warchant.
In terms of the scrimmage performance from your guys up front, I guess kind of how you characterize the way the offensive line played, and was today as much about cross training as it always is, or you started maybe dialing in on a couple guys, finding maybe some spots you feel a little bit better about where they can perform at?
Yeah, we had some guys that got a little comfortable, so I threw them in some different spots, whether it be changing from left tackle to right tackle with Wes and Julian and, some different center guys, Darius, Casey, sap, and playing some guards. So I'm always going to give them those challenges once they feel good and comfortable in the offense. I think we've gotten to that point of getting to the second scrimmage where they're having a good grasp on what to do. It's just now, all right, now that you're comfortable, I'm going to make you a little bit uncomfortable. Can you still perform that if you're on the other side? So it's that continued growth of finding that confidence. When it's going too good, I'm always going to switch it up and create a different challenge just so they can keep fighting through something. So we're starting to get to that point. So I guess I can say I'm pleased with the knowledge. We're not having as many missed assignments. We're starting to understand what we're trying to do with the different fronts and things that the defense is presenting. But now, it's a unique challenge. Like now guard, right guard. Let's see what you can do left guard. Let's see if you can flip it in your mind. So it's good to get to that step of the development. So yes, cross training is becoming a big deal for right now.
We'll go back to Ira.
From what we could tell at practice, I mean, look, Casey Roddick, obviously, he's played a lot of college football. He can block guys. He can do the physical stuff. The transition to center, like how big of a challenge is that since he hadn't really done it before, and how's that coming?
Yeah, center is that deal where, you do it in CQ is perfect. You do it in Indy is perfect. You do it in inside is perfect. Then we get to a team, it's a little bit more thought process. That ball that's consistently has to be snapped better with the thinking involved in operating the real offense at 11-11 football. And you can't simulate that, so you got to put them out there and let them do it. Just kind of give them some location skills. But I think he's growing in it, and I think it's helping us and creating that depth that we need at that position if we need it, or have to go to it. And he's a guy that's an old head, so he picks up the offense really quickly because he's played a lot of football. He has experience. So as long as he can hear the concepts, he's pretty well versed. It's just more thinking in the 11-on-11 when you have to snap the ball and also hold different cadence and things like that. But I'm very pleased with Casey Roddick, man. He's a good football player.
Go back to Brendan.
Kind of a two-part question on the same topic, Alex. Number one is who did you see stand out in the run game today? And then just number two, what have you seen from that group? You have such a deep group of running backs. What have you seen from them and the competition internally this spring?
And I met with the running back. We had an offensive meeting. I pulled the running back separately, and I just told them, thank you, because those guys have, they've been the workhorse of the offense, whether it be in practice, example of finishing plays post whistle, finishing in the end zone, physical runs, protecting the football. I've been really proud of the growth of that group. Rodney had a good scrimmage, the last scrimmage. Then you watch Trey and LT come out today and really go do it. It went live and wanted to go live. And that group's mentality, is elite. Coach Johnson does a wonderful job of the mentality of the room, how they attack the days, how they play for each other. I've been really pleased with that room, and just throughout this whole spring, that's been one of my favorite rooms as far as mentality and how they're attacking practice.
Go back to Ira.
Man, I wanted to ask you about one of the things that happened in practice this past week was when Jared Verse kind of started jawing at Jaheim, and Jaheim had a really good rep against him, and you got pretty fired up. What do you like about him, and I guess just those tight ends in general in terms of their physicality?
Well, Jaheim is a unique player because he can do a lot of things. And I think a lot of people criticize the physicality part of his game, but he has that though. He's down there in half line going against Verse was a really physical player. And, he got out to him pretty good. And, Verse was excited for him too. He told him a good job, because he saw that come out of him. And that's what you want when you create those kind of competitive drills and competitive moments, the I can of it. And, he came off, tight hands, tight elbows, and he's a powerful dude, man. Now, that matchup is not ideal for us. We're not trying to create that. But if it happens and he can do it, that makes us very unique and very versatile. So I was proud of Jaheim because he's been making himself uncomfortable when doing some things he might not necessarily see he wants to do, and he's attacking. So, man, he's a special football player, and I like the way he's pushing himself to grow out of those uncomfortable situations.
Go to SM.
Yeah, Coach. It seems like Jakai Douglas in practice is constantly getting open, winning his routes. What growth have you seen from this year, and how did you do today in the scrimmage?
Guys, very similar to that situation or that conversation we talked about with Tron, Darian Williamson. Jakai's been here since the beginning, and he's been developed, getting better, becoming a weapon. I remember he missed quite a part of the season last year, and as soon as he stepped in, Jakai's made some big plays here for us. You go back to the catch against Notre Dame, you go back into the third down conversions he's had. I mean, he played some running back, head carries. Jakai's had some special moments at Florida State, and I think now he's kind of grown into his own and being that veteran player for us. But Jakai's a really good football player, very versatile, can play the outside receiver inside. We can line him up at running back, and his quickness gives him a unique advantage when he's in that slot position. But Jakai's has big plays. You go back to, in the Miami game, he caught the inside fade route to get us going in the red. He has had some big time moments at Florida State. So he's a good player, and we're lucky to have him because he gives us a comfort level of being able to go into the spots.
Jeremiah Byers, a guy like that's played so much football, like, is that a luxury as a coach? Is it a challenge? And I guess maybe how has your mindset evolved in terms of what Jeremiah can be for you guys up front?
I like Jeremiah because he knows how to attack, and his attitude makes him different than most players I've been around, where he loves practice. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I played O-line. I don't remember if I loved practice. I wasn't too excited to go out there. I mean, I knew I had to do it. I knew that was my role, but he loves practice. He loves the preparation. He loves the process. So Jeremiah is going to put himself in position to have a lot of success. But I need from him is more consistency in the focus part of the game. Just like we talked about with those young quarterbacks, he's played a lot of football, but now I need to see that growth of taking that ownership and being a veteran player that understands down and distance, understands what my stance has to be and the consistency of it, my eye discipline, where am I looking pre-snap, if I'm giving away the plays or not. So I needed him to see to take that next step beyond just running plays and blocking. If we can see that come from him, he can help this football team a lot.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Recording stopped.